Large language models are making their way into medicine, and the potential is frankly astounding. I mean, think about it. A brilliant AI assistant for every single doctor, something that can summarize complex patient histories in seconds, spot patterns in symptoms, and even help pinpoint a diagnosis. It sounds like the future of healthcare: faster, smarter, and way more efficient. But what happens when that brilliant new tool can be tricked? What if that super smart assistant is just a little too eager to please? What if you sneak one tiny, completely made-up detail into an otherwise normal patient file? Well, that's not just a hypothetical. It's the exact question a group of researchers decided to investigate in a really fascinating study published in Communications Medicine. And their work gets right to the heart of a known and pretty dangerous flaw in these AI models. It's a thing called hallucination. It's where the AI, instead of just saying, "I don't know," will confidently invent an answer. Now, this isn't just some quirky little bug. In a field like medicine, it's a massive hidden vulnerability. The researchers were looking at a very specific type of this called adversarial hallucination. The best way to think about it is like this. Imagine you ask your new, super eager assistant to give you a summary of a report that doesn't actually exist. Instead of telling you they can't find it, they just write a whole summary for you, just to be helpful. That's exactly what the AI does. It takes a lie you've planted and treats it like the gospel truth. And this is where the whole thing goes from a theoretical problem to something genuinely scary. For the study, researchers completely made up a medical condition. They called it the cardiac spiral sign. Then they asked an AI what it was. The AI didn't miss a beat. It just launched into a detailed explanation of what this totally fake sign could mean for a patient, creating a plausible but dangerously false medical reality right out of thin air. So, to figure out how big this problem really is, the researchers set up a brilliant experiment. And you can think of it less like a simple study and more like a deliberate adversarial attack. They designed a rigorous stress test to see just how robust these AIs are, and to find the exact point where they break. Okay, so here's how they set it up. First, they created 300 realistic but simulated clinical cases. Then came the trap. In each case, they planted one single piece of false information, a made-up lab result, a fake physical symptom, or a disease that doesn't exist. Then they fed all of this to 6 different popular AI models and just watched to see how often the AI would fall for the trick. But they didn't stop there. They added another clever variable. For each case, they wrote 2 versions, a short one, kind of brief, and a much longer, more detailed one. Now, your first thought is probably what mine was. Giving the AI more context, more detail, should help it spot the fake, right? More data should make it smarter. But what they found was completely counterintuitive. It turns out the shorter, less detailed cases were actually more likely to trick the AI into hallucinating. So right away, that tells you this problem is a lot more complex and, frankly, a lot weirder than you might think. And when the researchers finally tallied up all the results from thousands of these tests, the picture it painted was, well, it was pretty alarming. It pointed to a serious system-wide failure across every single model they tested. Let's just start with the most staggering number. In the worst-case scenario, one of the AIs, just on its normal out-of-the-box settings, was tricked 82.7% of the time. Let me say that again. More than 4 out of every 5 times it was fed a lie, it wove that lie into its answer as if it were a solid fact. Okay, so what if you try to fix it? What if you just tell the AI, hey, be careful, only use validated information? The researchers tried that with what they called a mitigation prompt. And it did help. It dropped the average failure rate from 66% down to 44%. But let's be real. A 44% failure rate is still a massive problem. It's not even close to a solution. Now, of course, not all models performed the same. There was a huge gap. The worst offender hit that 82% rate we just talked about. The best one, GPT-4o, was a lot better. But, and this is the really important part, even the best-in-class model still failed 53% of the time on the default test. That means even the most advanced AI was fooled more often than not. The researchers tried one last thing. There's a technical setting called temperature zero, which basically tells the AI to turn its creativity dial all the way down and just be as factual as possible. The idea is to get the most boring, straight-laced answer you can. And the result? It made no real difference at all. This tells us the problem isn't about the AI being too creative. It's something much deeper.
So, these results are pretty stark, and they force us to confront a really critical question. As we start integrating these amazing tools into our actual hospitals and clinics, what does this all mean for patient safety? What's the path forward from here?
So what's the bottom line? Well, this study leaves us with a few really clear takeaways. First, every single model they looked at is vulnerable to this. Second, carefully telling the AI what to do, what we call prompt engineering, can help, but it is not a silver bullet. It's our best tool right now, way better than just flipping a technical switch. And it seems these models have a built-in bias to just confirm what you tell them, not to challenge it. Which all leads to the single most important conclusion of this entire paper. Human oversight isn't just a nice to have. Right now, it is absolutely essential. And that really leaves us with this final massive question. We're in the process of building an AI co-pilot for medicine, one of the most high-stakes fields imaginable. So the challenge for everyone, for the developers, for the doctors, for the regulators, is how do we build the guardrails? How do we create the systems to make sure this incredibly powerful new tool only helps us and never ever leads us down the wrong path?